All right, Kansas City Chiefs fans, others. Hey, if you're new to this channel, me and Chris, my partner in this channel, we love the little guy in the NFL. In other words, the guys that don't get the national media coverage. And I understand Chiefs fans, you'd be like, yeah, we do. Yeah, because you're winning a Super Bowl. All right. But otherwise, there's not a lot of talk about the Chiefs. This is our second channel. We have Sports Talk Detroit. You can see the lion behind me. We love the Lions, but we love the NFL. So we wanted to start this second channel. And my thing in this was the biggest question mark for the Chiefs heading forward. And in this video, I'm going to tell you what position it's at, what the battle looks like, what there is to expect, who I think is going to come out on top, or at least as the starters, and why ultimately, I might be giving something away here, it doesn't matter. So that biggest position battle, what we're looking at here is the competition going on at wide receiver. So you have some things that you've lost. The returners are Marquez Valdes-Scantling, you have Kadarius Toney, you have Sky Moore. Those are the biggest people that everybody's talking about. Then you have the rookie second-round draft pick this year in Rashee Rice out of SMU. And one under-the-radar name, I want to talk about this, is Richie James. He was playing with the New York Giants. You got him in free agency. Like, he actually put up some numbers. He just proved that he could do some things. If Sky Moore, if Kadarius Toney don't pan out, he is a guy who can actually be somewhat reliable when you need him or if there's injuries. So let's look at these different players. So the first one everybody wants to talk about is Kadarius Toney. And the reason people love talking about Kadarius Toney and the reason people were so excited that the Chiefs got him from the Giants is because everybody compares him to Tyreek Hill light, right? And I mean light, very light. But if you remember, Tyreek Hill didn't come into this league just a ready-made wide receiver. Kadarius Toney has similar size, build, quickness, all that kind of stuff. He has, I don't know if any of you are familiar with RAS or the raw athletic score. And what the raw athletic score is, and here I'll even let you see it. I'll share my screen with you, is a guy named Kentley Platt put it together. And what it shows is it takes all of the metrics and says, this is how good of an athlete he is on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the greatest wide receiver ever to test, 1 or 0 being the worst. So here's what you see here in this area. He is extremely poor. All that's just size. Those are things he can't help. That's just size. Everywhere else, he's good or elite and makes up for it. Under 4.4 speed, great 20-yard split, 10-yard split, good shuttle, good 3-cone, his broad jump, his vertical, everything was good. So he's one of those guys where you're like, yeah, that is the person you want. The only problem with Kadarius Toney is that he's always hurt. He's been in the league for 2 years and he's always hurt. But I don't know there's got to be hype around it. Mahomes is quoted saying, you saw the upside last year with how special of a talent he can be. To have him working with Coach Reed and how we practice in training camp, I think he'll have his body in the best shape he can possibly be in to be healthy all season long. That is what you're buying on. If he's healthy all season long, he is a really good option for you. There's no doubt about that. The next guy is a guy by the name of, and you all know him, Sky Moore. Sky Moore, and this is a dude out of Western Michigan. I love me some Broncos. Don't ask why. You can ask why. I went there for a little bit. That was part of my college education. But Sky Moore, Western, he has shockingly similar numbers and size to the last guy we talked about, to Kadarius Toney. He has 4.41. He has elite speed. His agility grade was actually really poor, which surprised me, but he carries the same or a little more weight and a little smaller size. So he's going to be more of that bowling ball looking guy. He was extremely underwhelming last year, but everybody loved the fit. They loved the fit. Everybody in fantasy football was taking Sky Moore over like Dotson for the Commanders just because in this offense, we're like, oh, this could be so good. He didn't get the opportunity, but in year 2, could we see that all change for Sky Moore and what that looks like. Then I talked to you about Richie James, and I want to just talk about this for a second. Last year, this don't sleep on this guy. I am absolutely amazed by this. He was targeted 67 times, 67 targets last year for the Giants. Do you know how many receptions he had? 57. That is a ridiculous completion percentage. That's over 80% of the time that Daniel Jones threw to him, it was a completion. This is your sleeper, ladies and gentlemen. If you want a sleeper for fantasy, if you want a sleeper for, hey, who's the receiver that could get to 1,000 yards this year or could have, 75 catches, probably not 1,000 yards, 75 catches, 750 yards or so. He averages about 10 yards a catch. This is your Mr. Reliable. This could be that guy for Mahomes if Tony can't stay healthy, right? Or if Sky Moore doesn't pan out. This is a guy who showed last year. He kind of came into his own and he played really, really well. 3 drops on 67 targets and 57 catches. That is really, really impressive. And then you have Rashee Rice, your rookie coming out of SMU. I'm going to be honest. I wasn't super high on him coming out. I wasn't, but he has to be better than MVS. He has to be better than Marquez Valdes-Scantling. I watched a lot of MVS in Green Bay when I was, as a Lions fan, watching the Packers, watching going up against it. And he just felt like a guy who constantly underdelivered. And his numbers actually got a little worse in Kansas City than they were in Green Bay, at least by an efficiency standpoint. With Rashee Rice, nothing really stands out except 2 things. He has a phenomenal vertical leap and a phenomenal broad jump. So those things translate sometimes into being a much bigger target than what your size might indicate. And he has pretty good size at 6'1", 204. So while he didn't do a very good job of creating separation, can he use that body? Can he use that jumping ability to be a contested catch monster? And that's really what you're looking for out of Rashee Rice. So all said and done, the flashy, sexy pick for this battle is Kadarius Toney. Like when you watch him play, it's electric. It's a lot of fun to see. And so, yes, naturally, that's the person you're going to lean to. I think a guy that could actually make a lot of noise for the Chiefs this year is Richie James. So leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. We would love to get Chiefs Nation in here. This is the first time that we've done a Chiefs video. Not a very old channel, but if we get some views on it, if we have people liking the video, we'll start putting out more Chiefs content. Again, we love teams that aren't in big national media markets. And so, and we love the NFL. So we are trying to put out news stories that nobody else is. And I understand like a lot of people are talking about the Chiefs, but here's one thing I needed to talk about. I said why ultimately it doesn't matter. Last year, we knew the wide receiver core was subpar for the Chiefs. And all Patrick Mahomes did was throw for 5,000 yards, get an MVP, all this, win a Super Bowl. You have the best quarterback in football. You'll be fine. But if you compare him with inexpensive wide receivers that are playing well again, look out, everybody. That's phenomenal. We'll see if he can continue to do it with a basically unknown receiving core and young receivers. Let's see who comes into their own. Let's see who's going to be a playmaker for these Chiefs this year. Hopefully you liked it. Comment, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.